I'm here at BGG 2014 with John from Harebrained Schemes, and he's going to show us their Kickstarter project, Golem Arcana.
Oh, thank you. So, Golem Arcana is a digitally enhanced miniatures game. What that means is that using this stylus, I can scan different things on the board, and it's going to contextually know exactly what I'm touching on. So if I touch on a tile piece, it's going to give me information about the board involving cover, any mana I might gain by standing there, or any other mitigating circumstances as to whether or not I can enter the region, or any other bonuses it'll provide. The same thing works if I tap on the cards for the figures, or if I tap on any part of the base of the figures as well. So tapping on the bases is all contextual. I can tap his movement, I can tap their attacks, and of course I can select targets. So I'll just show you some of the combat real quick. When I tap on the Sandlion's card or on his base, I can see that I have a number of different actions available for the figure, and each of those is going to cost a different number of action points. So depending on the size of the game, whether you're playing a 500-point game, 1,000-point game, what have you, I'm going to have a different number of action points to use during my turn to hopefully take care of my enemy or any objectives that I have on the map. In this instance, we're going to go ahead and lead off with the Sandlion's hamstring ability, and we're going to attack the Jeweled Harpy. On the screen, I can see that now that I've tapped both my attack and my target, I have about an 83% chance to hit. So the game is already figuring out things like my target's dodge versus my accuracy, as well as any other mitigating circumstances that might be in effect in the region that we're in. I can deep dive by pressing both buttons on the stylus and get all that crunchy math, but I'm not interested right now. I just want to know what my chance to hit is. I can either hit the confirm button on the stylus, or I can roll physical dice and enter my result on the back of the control card. I'm going to go ahead and let the app do the heavy lifting. Rolled a 19, and because it's a true percent system, by rolling low it means I hit. I do damage to the Jeweled Harpy, and I can see that what my damage was and what that did to her health points. At this point, Hamstring also has a special effect of when I hit my target, I reduce her dodge and make her easier to hit with my subsequent attacks. So I'm going to go ahead and follow up and use 2 more of my action points to use his bite attack. And of course I passed it, so we'll just go right to it on the figure. Tap on my target again. This one's a little bit less accurate, but I still feel pretty good about my chances. So I'll roll 43, I'll hit, and now the Harpy only has 19 hit points left. Pretty successful turn. I can also end my turn on the control cards and various other interactions that involve the menu, so you don't have to sit there and always reach over and touch the app. And now it's my opponent's turn. My opponent now has the option to retaliate. We'll open up with a claw attack, again on the Sandlion. 59% chance to hit. I rolled a 90, so I'm not gonna hit. So we're gonna go ahead and see if I can use her Buffeting Wings attack to get him out of the square. 69% chance to hit. Fair chance, and I'm just gonna roll like crap. So 98's not gonna hit. The Sandlion stays in the square, which means he's probably gonna destroy me next turn. But that kind of gives you a brief overview of how the golems themselves interact, which are the primary physical pieces for the game. In addition to the golems, there's also knights and ancient ones, which are digital aspects of the game. Knights are the various figures that you can kind of see. I don't know if you can get the zoom in on this, but there's little figures riding the different golems. Those knights have different special abilities and powers, and basically make the golems animate and attack. So if we select a knight portrait, we can see that on the Jeweled Harpy, she has a knight that when she moves, she gets bonus accuracy. As the player, I don't have to keep track of all that. The app's going to take care of it for me. So if I move with the Jeweled Harpy, her attacks are going to be boosted. Other knights will have different powers, and then you also, as you collect mana on the board, you have ancient ones, which are basically the ancestor gods you bring with you to the battle. So when you're putting your army together, you don't just have your golems, you also have knights and ancient ones that you can mix into the fight to change your tactics up so that your figures are always useful to what you want to be able to do in the fight. Ancient ones, when you spend mana, have different blessings and curses. Blessings are going to provide a positive effect for your team in the region in which you place the blessing. Curses are the exact opposite, providing some kind of negative effect for enemies in a particular region. The last effect on an ancient one is their miracle. Miracles affect your whole team for that round, maybe giving you a speed boost, an attack bonus, doing more damage, you name it. So in short, Golem Arcana basically takes that 250-page or higher rulebook that you would normally need for a miniatures game, chucks that out the window, goes back outside, grabs the rulebook, condenses it, puts it in the app so you don't have to handle it.
And so the idea behind Golem Arcana was making it a bit more streamlined for miniatures players, but have you also found it's made it more accessible for people who weren't previously players of miniature games?
Well, absolutely. So, having previously owned a retail store and just being a miniatures gamer for a really long time, one of the things that I would notice is people would constantly walk by the tables people were playing miniatures at, and they'd be like, oh, that's really cool, what's going on over there? They'd hang out for a minute and go. Kind of a deer in headlights effect, because it was just a little too hard to wrap their hand around with all the periphery that's usually on the table. So by streamlining it, we're not only helping out people who already enjoy miniatures games, but those that might enjoy it as well and were maybe a little intimidated or just didn't think of themselves as having the time to learn to play.
And with a lot of miniatures games, you have to keep buying figures. So how does it work with Golem Arcana? Do you get a number of figures in the box and then you can buy additional?
Yeah, so what we're playing with right now, the 6 figures from the Gadana, or the 3 figures from the Gadana Dominion and the 3 figures from the Durrani Empires, whereas the tiles, which are double-sided, the stylus, all the cards, rulebook, is everything that's included in the base game. There's also a massive selection of Knights and Ancient Ones that are available in the app. Some of those are already unlocked, some of those will be available for purchase later, but there's a bunch in there for you to be able to tweak your army, like I was saying earlier, to more your style of play. Gadana already have kind of a melee theme going. They're a little bit, kind of a raid play style, but you can change that up, make them more swingy, less swingy, by depending on what you bring with you to the fight.
Awesome. Would you like to talk a little bit about the lore behind Golem Arcana as well? So there's a lot of backstory in the world and these creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the part I'm going to butcher, even though it's my favorite part. So basically, at the outset of the battle, which is about when we launched just this last August, the Khan, the Great Khan, who basically was ruler of everything, died under mysterious circumstances. And he was the leader of the Gadana Dominion. So they had gone around and conquered all of Eretsu. The Durrani Empire, which was more or less the folks in charge prior to that, upon his death, are basically like, oh, now it's our time to shine again. So there's already strife brewing, war is already on the horizon, and while these folks try to maintain control, these guys are rising up. There are other factions and archetyms, such as the Urgal, who make their golems out of bone and the matter of dead creatures, the Zekia, who make theirs out of living plant material, as well as others that may come out down the line, who are all vying for their piece of the world and their place in it.
Well, thanks very much for that.
Absolutely.